Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Good News for November the 14th. This is Graham.
Mona here.
Mona and I are sharing the good news today. It's been about 8 months since we started doing this and since we first shared a good news together. Um, it should be Peter Little's day today, but Peter asked if we would fill in for him because his daughter Heather has had another surgery, and Peter and Noni are in Toronto supporting Heather following her surgery and her recovery. So please pray for them today. I asked Mona to join me in this because she kind of softens the rough, hard edges that I bring to this kind of thing. So I think we're better together than we are apart. No, Mona's fine by herself, but I'm not. I'm just going to bring you one verse of today's gospel, which is in Luke chapter 16, and it's verse 13. Can you hear the dog in the background as well? That's why Mona's laughing. It says, "No servant can serve two masters, for a servant will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." Well, this scripture is about purpose. It's about whom or what we will serve and what our direction in life is going to be. I have a story for you, which I referred to in the stewardship letter that you got this week. And it's about Horizon. I met a fellow years ago in the hospital when I worked as a hospital chaplain in London, who was in a dire situation. It was like a terrible healthcare storm that he was stuck in the middle of. And I was called in, when all else fails, call the chaplain. So I'm not sure he even wanted to see me, but we negotiated a conversation, and I got talking and discovered he was a sailor. He was a ocean-going sailor, but also he loved to sail on the Great Lakes in his sailboat. And here he was after having waited for surgery for 10 years, I think, until the right time. And it wasn't going well. Anyway, as we got talking, I shared with him that I wasn't much of a sailor. I get seasick. And so he started to give me advice. He said, well, when I start to get seasick, and he was honest, he said, don't let anybody tell you that sailors don't get seasick. They all do. I said, well, what do you do? He said, well, I look to the horizon. I keep my eyes on the horizon. And out of that story, he started to realize that he'd gotten himself stuck in a maelstrom, in this storm of illness. And he'd forgotten what his horizon was. And he started to look towards the horizon. And I asked him to describe the horizon. What was it he wanted to do? Well, he wanted to get back sailing, but he also had this strange goal. In his travels, he had encountered a species of bird in northern Australia, whose name I forget, that he wanted to save from extinction, and that was a goal for him. He wanted to help by breeding these birds. Anyway, long story short, with this horizon in mind, back in his thoughts again, he started to get better. He realized that he was the endangered species that he wanted to save. I think we're in a storm too. It's COVID, it's climate. We may even be an endangered species. And this moment is a moment of decision about whom we will serve. It's a moment to consider our key priorities. It's framed often as a choice between health or the economy. It's like health or wealth, but that's a sucker's choice, isn't it? It's not the pursuit of wealth for wealth's sake that is in question. It's how we will use our wealth, which is so abundant, the world's wealth, how we will use it to serve our well-being and the well-being of others, making good choices. So that's the good news today. It's an invitation to keep our eyes fixed on the horizon while we find ourselves in the middle of this storm that we're in, because that is what will lead us forward into a good future, to be sure what our horizon is, to be clear about whom we want to serve. Mona has a poem, a hopeful poem about horizon that may help us to illustrate both the scripture and the story that I've just told you.
I love this poem. There is a trough in waves, a low spot where horizon disappears and only sky and water are our company. And there we lose our way unless we rest, knowing the wave will bring us to its crest again. There we may drown if we let fear hold us in its grip and shake us side to side and leave us flailing, torn, disoriented. But if we rest there in the trough, in silence, being in the low part of the wave, keeping our energy and noticing the shape of things, the flow, then time alone will bring us to another place where we can see horizon, see land again, regain our sense of where we are and where we need to swim.
That's a poem by Lynn Ungar. If you wanted to look it up, you can find it on the internet. It's called Trough, or The Trough. Well, it's been good to be with you this morning, folks. Actually, it's Friday night, as you can tell from the darkness around us.
Soon it'll be morning.
Soon it'll be morning. And there's another symbol for you. Soon we'll be through this. Soon we'll find the light of day again. Anyway, have a wonderful day. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Take care.
God bless.